Today's session we have JP in the house. JP, is it how much are you at? 50K, 150K? Where are you at now? What's the figure?
Oh, so no, so only so far it's just the 50K.
Only 50K.
Yeah,
I like that. It's only 50K.
that's just the 30% in advance payment. So the actual, if we deliver on what we need to deliver, we'll get two times that, so three times.
So 150.
Yeah.
Nice.
To be able to close it, I think, a lot of the first week mindset, and I jump into the week 3 and the closer process. So I use a lot of the specifics and practicals, and mindset piece and the strategy piece that you talk about a lot, to be able to basically, not F it up. So first of all, so because you're recording, man, I was gonna say big thank you. I really love you, man. You truly mean a lot to me. In just such a short period of time.
Yeah, nice.
And I know that I don't need to remind you, but what you do is truly special. And I've been around for a while, man, and I've studied and I've known people, and you are like super special, man. And also, like, it's one of the things I was writing, like, takeaways. I was trying to prepare, for the call. And I was thinking, and I believe you. Like, you are kind-hearted. Whatever journey you have gone through, where you come from, is really nice. And then lots of things that I have a list of things I wrote to share, man, with you. But the fact that you are effectively, a role model, and everything that you have done, to help people, and
It's a
not
pleasure.
not caring about the world attitude, and by everything that you do. Because I study lots of stuff that you talk about. It's so nice to be able to see, in real life, somebody applying it, but then structuring it in the method. And it's like, so, like, if I may swear, I mean, fucking fantastic, man. So thank you,
Amen.
man.
Where were you before you started working with us in terms of like your mindset around your business? I
I
know.
was just, I mean, it's what it's gonna resonate with a lot of people. I was just stuck in my own head. So just going around I was trying to get out and trying to find solutions, and studying all sorts of different yeah, theories and practices, and different coaches, and I can list so many things. I couldn't, and with all the great attitude, and I'm a good person, and all the rest, that a lot of people, I'm sure, can have that conversation, but I was stuck.
Mm. Why did you take? You said in previous calls that you've been going around circles for like 7 years. Why had you been?
Well, I think that, no, the process of what it culminated now into, like, everything that's happening, with a specific program. And I do have a kind of a business model that is kind of 3 layers, I realize now, and I'm putting together the program for the Impact Leaders program, right? Is one that it came up out of you pushing like crazy, and the method and the clients and automation. But I kind of so I separated, because I'm using some of that for my advisory business, which is a bit like a high ticket, right? So I'm translating everything that you're teaching me into, okay, how does it translate into what I'm doing? So I'm doing the program, which I think I need to do it to help people, and I'm using a lot of the techniques and the structure and everything to basically create my high tickets, as a and I had to say this, with a valid offer that is
Mm.
attractive to people, to clients, which people have told me before. Oh, but what is your product, JP? What's your product? And I was like, well, this is my product. I would get frustrated, and but there was no product, and now I get it. But nobody could tell me, like, okay, but this is how you had to look at it, and this is how you had to package it, and this is you had to build it, and this is how people are going to react. And if they don't react that way, you do that.
Mm.
And so if I go back 7 years, that's when kind of my journey into um, creating my firm began. The one I have now. So I had one in between. I was on a kind of an executive in big banks. Before that, and I could see that I wanted to do a consultancy and advisory. I couldn't work it out. I knew I wanted to help people and do coaching. which I didn't realize at the time that's what it was. Then I became actually a qualified coach, and I was helping people within my organization in the big banks, and that's what I'm saying. The 7 years, I wrote a book in between, so which I did it effectively with the AKA, with the pseudonym, with the fake name, because I wasn't clear about alignment, about who I was. I saw one of your posts today, about like, what is your biggest secret that you don't tell people that can become, your strength, right? And all of a sudden, when I was putting together, like on the go, the program, I realized, well, actually, I have the book, and the book actually has a model, and I have never been able to actually use it or really push it properly. And okay, now I think it's time, right? So that's kind of, again, the 5 years in the making, right? And now finally I'm actually using the book and the model in the book as part of my program. And sorry, that's a long answer. But
so you said there, having clarification on the offer, putting together the offer so that they know what they're buying, and then if they're noticing if they're not doing that, then we can adjust it. Would you say that was the most valuable process? Because a lot of people don't have the feedback, they don't have someone there helping them, they can't see it. You're right. It's one thing, like, people talk about it, knowing about it, hearing about it, but it's a difference when you go like, here's what you need, here's how you do it, and here's feedback till it will always work. It just takes that feedback. Do you think that's been the most valuable thing about joining the program so far? And we're in early days, JP. This is a 10K interview, right? So that you can get clear structure on the process. But at the end of the day, you're already at, as you said, 50, with a potential 150 off the back of that. And so still very early days. And so that's without automation, without having dialed in systems, which is normal, like, as I said, like without that sort of feedback, most people don't go, again, they keep questioning, they give up, or they just get lost down a hole doing shit tons of social media, which they don't need to do. So do you think that was the most valuable for you so far, or?
Can I just name a few?
Yeah, go for it.
There's many. So if I had, there's quite a few parts to it. So one thing, and I've been talking about this for a while, but I couldn't even do it myself, is the fact that if you go to different people, and again, I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins, right? So I'm part of his inner circle, and I know him for done stuff for 15 years, right? And like that, there's others, but there's a lot of theory, but there is no method. There is no step by step. And I can only imagine all these people that do all these things like me. I did my first Tony Robbins 15 years ago, and I can get there, now I'm doing it again, and it's very helpful in terms of some of the concepts, about, mindset or limiting beliefs, etc. But putting it into practice is a different game. And I could see this, and I was trying to create it myself. That's why I wrote the book, etc. But then it takes, I'll say, no exaggeration, I would say 10 levels, but actually I could easily say 100 levels to take it to where you did it. And a lot of it, if somebody watches it and tries to go through and they say, oh, but that's common sense, but nobody's doing it. Right? And like I tell you, man, I've been to so many, and that's the thing as well that people may not know, right? So I live in the UK, I live in London. I know I am, and I talk now not even about the 5%. I have been 1% of the 1%, of people that are privileged enough, that get educated, that get taught all the stuff. And we still struggle, with mindset, with how to run things, how to make it, effective. And let's not even go about the kind of whole mental health, right? But so that's kind of maybe first, the structuring. I think the role model, just how you live it, with the kind, good heart, that you care for the attitude, and, don't be like Raj type of things, because you have that, personality. I think the mindset plus the strategy also landed when you talked about it a few times, from Clubhouse to then the rooms, the weekly sessions, the method, which I said, the understanding of this A to B and breaking it down, the can I, in terms of constant improvement and not getting it. And again, that self-talk. And across all of these, obviously, you have one of the sales, even though I feel like I'm not selling as much yet at all, because I think there's a big difference between doing a high ticket once and then actually selling consistently, which is the part about, like you say, early days. But then comes all these, you have all these tools as well that very practical, in terms of understanding what to use, when to use, how much, etc. Which, and then you have all the consistent, so you got the community, but within also the community, which becomes quite nice, with the people. But the fact that you are there, like you said, every step of the way, you are there every week, and even if you show up to, without a question to the weekly calls, there's somebody else asks a question that actually you haven't been thinking unconsciously about, or consciously, right? And that you can just, just consistently trigger and move yourself another 1%, another 1%, I don't know. I said a few things there, but
I got it. That's cool, man. Thank you.
So that's a lot of positive takeaways, I have to be honest,
Was there any decision in your mind pre-joining that would have potentially stopped you?
Well, my biggest blocker, and I'll be honest, and and I'm sure that people can relate. And I was telling you before, maybe some stuff I don't want to be so honest, but my biggest blocker has been a limiting belief about money, and abundance and scarcity, well, we know the reasons, right? And most people live like that, right? I always say, come from very humble backgrounds. I've done very well in life, compared to most, but that mindset, it never goes away until you, until basically you just get moving and take action. And you talk about a lot about this, you just have to just take consistent action, and that scarcity may be there, but as long as you keep moving, and like I am investing right now like never in my life. Like, you tell me, okay, we have to do this, pay that, like I don't doubt for a second, because something is unblocked, but more importantly, it's like I just need to keep moving, and I know that's the most important part, not kind of what if,
It's now you have a clear plan, dude, and you have a clear structure, and you have support on that. And we live in a world where most will never see that. They'll never get access to something that's as clean as that. I laugh when you said that, because people just don't, there are many different training educators out there, and they don't have like a detailed signature program. Like when you're following Clients and Automation, we're about to do the 8.0 update. I mean, it's like that's a refined beast. And it's so good, because I used to be a hard learner, and I used to struggle in that department. So it's like got everything covered: visuals, auditory, written assignment, again according, very specific, according to exactly what you need to do. I just think most people, unfortunately, are very overwhelmed. They're following paths that are not relevant for them, and they need to know the difference between like following someone on social media versus following an actual program. It's great following people on social media, that's all fine. But if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk too much, like, you got to understand there's nothing wrong with Gary. Gary's amazing. He has a $650 million agency, but what works for Gary doesn't work for a business that's not doing a million yet. Even if you're doing a million, if you're doing 20 million, right, and you're listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and you try and attempt some of the things that he's pumping on a daily basis, you will get overwhelmed. You're pulled into non-income generating tasks. And so therefore, the way I've designed it is so it's the quickest income generating task. That's how we always refine it. So yeah, I appreciate that, because it is funny. Unless people have a structure to follow, they just won't get there. It is what it is. They just cannot. Look, they may get there. It may take 20 years or so, but they could actually get there so much quicker if they actually followed a step-by-step process. What else do you think was the, like you've mentioned, like the support was really great for you. Why did you relate? Why did you relate to myself so much? What was it about how we built the offer, or how I show up, that makes you connect, like, as you said, more intensely than anything else? And this is, go on, you go.
I'm I guess I'm pretty self-aware and conscious, but there's a few things that happened this year actually that kind of prime me, into then meeting you and being able to make such a quick jump, because I lost a couple of people in the last years. We thought that another close person to me was had cancer just over Christmas. So when the year started, I said like, okay, well, I'm gonna really like turn the levels up, whatever I need to do this year, because life is super short. So I actually started with another mindset group, a business mindset, a business mastermind, group, and that was the beginning of it. Then I actually did, UPW with Tony as well. So I was super clear on my limit and belief as well. And then Clubhouse kicked in, right? About the same time all of this was happening. So it was kind of 1, 2, 3. And then when we are in Clubhouse, I do have I want to believe I have a pretty good bullshit kind of barometer, right? So I listened to you a couple of times, and there was I remember kind of almost exactly, so I listened to you maybe a couple of times, but not that many to say like, okay, this guy, I not really work it out. I didn't, I'm obsessed with due diligence and checking people up, etc. I really didn't do that. I really went by what you were kind of what you were saying, which then if I fast forward, I realize exactly how I can break it down now, how you talk, what you say, etc. And I remember exactly because I was, let's say, on a Saturday listening to you, and you said about, okay, I have this, and you started talking about the different points about somebody, and it all started resonating, kind of, I needed something different, and it's not working, and, and I'm like, because I'm trying new things, I'm thinking, okay. And by then I already kind of watched some of your, annoying, silly Instagram, posts, especially about the one where you go like, oh, how's it going? Good, and how many clients do you have? None. I think that one is the one that's stuck in my mind, because my life is pretty awesome, man. But I have basically at that point, if I wanted to talk, if I could relate to that, I said like, I don't really have that many, and then I promised I was about to leave the house. You say, oh, here's the link, go and and do the form, etc. I started looking at the form, and it was huge, and I went like, oh, I'll do it, in a little bit. And I was about to leave the house, and you said something like, well, most people are not gonna do this, because most people are not serious or something like that.
True though.
And I came back into the house, and I spent whatever half an hour filling out the form. And that was kind of, if I could tell you about the journey just to that, and then it kind of became the biggest one, which was actually the call with one of your salespeople, and that was pretty straightforward, and then it was very, very good as well, because it wasn't kind of forced like you always say, and I had a bit of options and a bit of time, and then I was very decided really, because like I said, I'm like, I need to do something different, right? So and then as soon as I tested it, I very quickly could just in real life see that it was for real. And yeah, and then I think I just said actually this week on the chat, I paid everything within like 30 days, right? And then within maybe, not coincidentally, that's what I'm saying about the context of my other deal happening, right? Within maybe 45 days or less, maybe even before, I already closed the other deal. So kind of all came together,
I like it, man. Well, I appreciate you making that decision, because the truth is that most people won't, JP, and that they have had many touch points of what they think that they know, and there's a big difference to today, like people can get access to YouTube, podcasts, you name it, right? And they've had that sort of context, so that they think that they know what they need, but knowing versus doing it's worlds apart, and unfortunately information is not valued to the same level as it was back in the day. You're talking about Tony Robbins. I paid $600 for a cassette from Tony Robbins, $600 for cassettes, and then I transcribed them by hand. And no one would do that. No one would do that sort of stuff today, and that's all I could get access to. There was like nothing else. And so I had just one set of cassettes and I listened to them over and over again. And I was like, this is amazing. It's changing my life. So it's like I'd never heard anything like that before in my life. Like just the way that they were talking, the way he was talking, it was just like, this was like gold. And then I was going out, practicing it, teaching it, and doing the best I can to embed it.
But there's something about your brain that people, I think most people don't have, and that's what we need to appreciate, and that's why I think you have that capacity to put it the way you put it. And obviously you have a lot of time invested in it, obviously, right? But it's the fact that you can break it down, then put it all together, and just keeping it very, very simple, and I don't know, and that's like a superpower, man. Like most people actually,
I mean, I'll take that, but it's not true. I'll take it as a superpower.
But most people have the opposite, right? Most people like procrastinate. They have YouTube, lots of ideas. They kind of put it in a method. They kind of structure it, and then they're like all over, right?
The advantage I've got is I've got years in the game, and so therefore, like anything in life, if I've just spent my whole life simplifying, and so therefore, like I'm not someone that was good at being overwhelmed, so I had to learn to simplify it, and I got great. I'm not here to say there's anything special about me at all. It's just understanding what is great education and what isn't, and therefore, like I've invested a lot to get here, and that's what you benefit by not having to do the years that I've done in order. Like if I had learned a system like that to build my coaching business, there was nothing out there like that. Like we're not talking like this event here, JP, right? This event here, that's over 1,000 people in a live event in London. We used to run them like 7 years in a row on a monthly basis. So when I'm talking about running ads to live sorts of things, like all of my methodology is built off actual stuff that we've done. Yeah. And so therefore, like there isn't anything that is as simplified to build an online coaching business as this today, because no one has that sort of experience. When outside, and again, it's not bragging, it's just fact. When people say, oh, like, have you done any coaching? Yeah, I've done 12 years of one-to-one coaching, 14 hours a day in, day out, day in, day out. Like, so that's all I've done. And so therefore, it's always like, I appreciate the compliment. It's always like, find anyone. If you find a golf coach that has literally spent 40 years coaching golf pros, they will be absolutely dialed down, so freaking great. Like Tiger Woods' golf coach, for example, literally that's all he's ever done. Like he can see the differences.
But they don't have a scalable model, one, right? And also, maybe, like you're playing it down a bit like I just played it down at the beginning, just a 50K deal, right? But I tell you, because it comes also from experience. It comes also from working with some of the top, people in the world in the different, industries, and I can see, almost black and white how you are doing it, and it's really good. And I was gonna say before you mentioned something, so I'm actually going through a leadership program now with Tony Robbins, right? And he insisted the point that we cannot do this alone, right? You cannot see your blind spots. I always talk about that, and that's why people just on their own, and that's why I've already before was talking about the power of community, but the power of community just for the sake of it, a room in Clubhouse is one thing. The power of community and having that guidance, structured guidance, is a completely different level, right? So yeah, I appreciate your humility, mate. But I think that's what the real value is, and
it's like most people get access to an online course that's repurposed content, right? Which is unfortunately today, that's if you're paying for like people's repurposed content, that's not designed specifically, right? And that's not good enough today. And it's not good enough like to use something from an event 3 years ago and expect someone to be able, like, even how you speak to someone in an event versus how you speak to someone as they're going through a specific process is different. And so you'll notice that all of the online educators, universities are switching to replicating a similar format. That's, we were interviewed on Forbes off the back of that because of the systems and structure. But dude, I appreciate that. Thank you. What else would you, what would you tell someone that was on the edge of jumping in with us, that was like hesitant? What would you say to them?
Just do it. Jump like right now. Jump yesterday,
Jump yesterday.
Because it's and I always say to people, like you said yourself, right? If it's not with you, okay, do it with somebody else, but jump. You had to get, support. You had to get somebody, and in this case, with you, it's like, just and you have all, you have all the guarantees and everything. And also, you also said it, right? Many times you say all the time, like, it's not done for you. So I still had to do, I'm a super hard worker person, right? But hard work and intelligence alone just doesn't cut it. It's crazy. It just doesn't cut it. So you had to have that, guidance, that method. And it's, once you, like I said, there's so many golden nuggets and very clear ways to do things. One thing I was going to say to you before was that, so I went on, and one of the things I put here, people that are entrepreneurs and have that business can, I'm sure, relate. I struggle with time, right? And sometimes, taking breaks and, going out, and taking the weekend or the week, and I'm always thinking about, okay, what are we doing next? And but the other day I was taking a break, and it was a really nice feeling, because even though I hadn't all worked out, I didn't have everything worked out, in terms of what I was doing was, and I had that confidence that I had a path to follow, because I had the program, and it gave me also so that's one thing which is huge, because once kind of, okay, not only where you're going, but how you're gonna get there, that is something, that again, I cannot tell that to anyone that's about to jump, but they'll know this feeling once they've jumped in, right? And then the other thing about that I thought was, and you mentioned about the followers, the content, that overwhelm about, okay, what am I doing? What am I not doing? What am I missing out? And I talk about that, the overwhelm of information on my industry. And once you know what you really need to focus on, it's amazing, because like you just actually have so much more time just in your brain, let alone, in your day.
That's a great point, dude.
It's amazing, because I was like really like everyone, like, okay, what do I do? Do I like go Instagram followers, and then all of a sudden, like, really hit home, like, it's quality over quantity, and everyone that's following me. Huh?
Honestly, let me just build on that. That's such a great point. Very clear. Like when you have a really solid method to follow that isn't filling your brain out with more, like that's one of the things we hear a lot. Like I expected, I thought we were going to be building followers and all of that shit, which doesn't do anything in the quick. It's not part of a high income generating task. It's long term, which is all fine and all, but it takes too much time. It takes too much headspace. An overwhelmed mind cannot take a new thought on. So therefore, like once you get clarity on that, I mean, it's amazing how quickly you can move further forward. So that's interesting you said that. I like that. On that, dude, one more, just conscious of time. What happens if they don't jump in? What happens if they don't get the right support?
Well, first of all, they can end up like Raj, and
people don't know who Raj is. Well, Raj is my complainer neighbor who never made it, who spent his whole life.
I think if you don't take a chance, just be prepared, to be on the same in the same hamster wheel, that you've been, for whatever time. And I see that with prospects for myself as well, that it's interesting, the big change now. I cannot close them, but I know that they're just gonna keep doing the same thing, and then they're not gonna progress, right? So, but the other thing that I'm gonna tell them, which is I think is gonna happen to some of the people I'm talking to, they're just gonna come back in 1 year.
Yeah.
And they lost 1 year of their life.
So it would, like, what I do, JP, is I did this today in a room. This lady was going, She goes, 18 years ago, I was going to pay someone 6K to support and grow my business. And I thought she said 8 years ago. So she goes, 18 years ago. And I go, 18 years? And she goes, yeah, I thought it was too expensive. I was like, 18 years on. Okay. And I was like, look, even if they were just to just get 2 more clients a month, right? At her current price point was 2K. So that's an additional 4K a month, right? So I worked it out. That's 56 grand a year. Okay. So she's lost 56 grand a year times obviously 18 years. It was like 846,000.
Yeah.
That's what she lost.
And
Right.
and then on top of that is what you could have invested in with the
Of course.
800,000. So,
Right. So
but
just
that's
take
not
an
how most people
800.
think. Most
Eight,
people think from the other side of the glass. You know,
and
it's
so she was like, honestly, you got to get this. So she was like, oh my God, like I lost. She's like, and when you equate to that figure, that's when it's real. And people don't realize that.
And you know what? I put a note here about that as well. I think, through the way that you speak and things that you teach as well, I on money and pricing, I think you really helped me unblock something there. And the way that not I only look at it like that, the mathematics, which is what most people do, but just that, the construct, and I really get it. Like, I now get it. Like, and I really don't care about the money. Although people say like, oh, people say that, but I really don't care about the money. But now I get it in terms of how much you need to charge people so that they get committed.
So they pay attention.
And all of that is amazing. So we just actually pitched. I think I told you we just pitched to a client for 99K, right? For effectively a program where we help them, through the process. Then they have so many things going on and they're all over the place. And
is that total 99K?
Total 99K, right? Cool. But basically it was, we offered them, 12 sessions, and then they came back and they said, well, actually, just workshops won't work. We want to see outputs, so we kind of, we tone it down in terms of, they came with 5, 6 things. Now we have one thing, right? And we went back now and it's, over 100K, right? for a specific, piece. But I get it, I get the pricing of the market, etc. But I know the value. And then I think on the last session yesterday or Monday, you were going about like you have to get all that part about what is your value, what you are worth, what they need to pay so that they value it. There's so many parts to it. So then it's not really about the money, And then if you actually do what you just did, like you make them realize like how much they're gonna actually save.
Well, that's the contrast price.
The contract price. Yeah.
You do the same with that company. Like here's what you're going to potentially miss out on. Yes, there's an investment to get this service, but here's what the knock on for the service is going to be. Here's what's going to be, the cost of not doing something is when you realize what that truly is. That's like that experience where you go, I wish I had have invested in Google or this or that, which is what people always do. It's hindsight, but you're bringing it to the forefront. Dude, that being said, right, let's get down to your next steps. Okay, look, I really appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you because you show up consistently. You're amazing. You always bring your true self to the calls. I love your humor. I love getting to know you on a deeper level. I'm looking forward to meeting you, and obviously we're doing the event in September, which I'm excited about. And yeah, that being said, look, like we're here for you every step of the way. You can never fail if you just never give up on your dreams. It's that simple. So we got you. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you. And let's get down to the next steps. Okay, 1 second.
Next steps.
Let's go.